We're all taught that money is a numbers game, right? It's all about spreadsheets, formulas, and hard data. But what if I told you that the single most important factor for financial success has almost nothing to do with your IQ and everything, literally everything, to do with how you behave? That's the powerful idea we're diving into today.
So let me ask you a question. Who do you think is better with money? A janitor or a Harvard-educated executive? I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, right? On one side, you've got every advantage, the fancy education, the high-powered career, and on the other, a janitor. Well, the answer is going to surprise you, and it perfectly shows that what you do with your money is so much more important than what you know about it.
So let's look at how this actually played out in the real world. You have Ronald Reed, the janitor. He patiently saved what he could and invested his modest income for decades. He died a multi-millionaire with $8 million. Now let's look at Richard Fiscone, the Harvard-educated executive. He borrowed a ton of money to fund this huge, lavish lifestyle, and then, boom, he went bankrupt after the 2008 crisis. The janitor's simple patience completely beat the executive's financial genius. This just proves it. This isn't a story about spreadsheets. It's a story about behavior. And that really gets to the core idea from author Morgan Housel. He says, financial success isn't a hard science. It's a soft skill. It's where how you behave is way more important than what you know. It's not about memorizing complex formulas. It's about mastering your own psychology. And that's the skill we're going to break down right now. Okay, so let's get into our first big idea. What's going on in your brain when you think about money? We all like to believe we make rational, logical financial choices. But the truth is, our decisions are super influenced by our own personal history, which, by the way, represents a teeny tiny fraction of what's ever happened in the world. Think about it like this. The entire history of the economy is this vast, chaotic, complex thing. But the tiny little sliver of that history that you've personally lived through, well, to your brain, that feels like the whole truth. That sliver forms almost your entire worldview about money. And it totally explains why a financial decision that seems crazy to one person makes perfect sense to another. They've just seen different but equally true parts of the world.
Just look at these two charts. It's pretty amazing. If you grew up in the 70s and 80s, you saw stocks go up 10 times over. The lesson you learned was stocks are incredible wealth builders. But what if you came of age in the 50s and 60s? The market was basically flat. So you learned to be skeptical. See? Neither view is crazy. They're just based on completely different personal experiences.
So if raw intelligence isn't the key, then what is? Most people would probably say it's about chasing the highest returns, right? Finding that one hot stock or that amazing fund. But the real secret to building wealth is actually way more boring and infinitely more powerful. $81.5 billion. Take a look at that number. What do you think it represents? It's not a company's budget. It's not some government program. This number is the key to understanding the single most powerful force in building wealth. And it all belongs to just one person. That number, that's the portion of Warren Buffett's $84.5 billion net worth that he earned after his 65th birthday. Let that sink in. Over 96% of his entire fortune was built when most people are well into retirement. How on earth is that even possible?
Well, the answer is one word: compounding. See, Buffett's real secret isn't just that he's a great investor, it's that he's been a great investor for 3/4 of a century. The magic isn't about getting the absolute highest returns. It's about getting pretty good returns that you can just leave alone, uninterrupted, for the longest possible period of time. That is what creates truly mind-boggling wealth. But here's the thing about letting time do its work. You have to survive. And this is a hugely important distinction. Getting wealthy and staying wealthy are two totally different things. Getting money often requires taking risks and being optimistic, but keeping it, that requires humility and a healthy dose of fear. Fear of losing it all. You have to stay in the game long enough to let compounding work its magic. Okay, so this leads us to our final and maybe the most profound lesson of all. In a world that is completely obsessed with more, the single hardest financial skill to learn is how to get the goalposts to just stop moving. It's about knowing when you have enough. There's this fantastic story about the author Joseph Heller. He was at a party, and a friend pointed out that their billionaire host had made more money in a single day than Heller's famous novel, Catch-22, had earned in its entire history. And Heller's reply was just brilliant. He said, "Yes, but I have something he will never have. Enough." Heller got it. He knew the hunger for more is a game you just can't win, because the finish line is always moving.
And this is what happens when you don't know what enough is. I mean, look at Rajat Gupta and Bernie Madoff. These guys were already unbelievably wealthy. They had everything anyone could possibly want, but they had this insatiable appetite for more, and it led them to risk it all, their freedom, their reputation, absolutely everything, for money they didn't even need. And in the end, they lost it all.
This is exactly why the hardest financial skill is to just stop the goalposts from moving. It means you have to tune out what everyone else is doing, that social comparison, and just define your own finish line. Getting there is the only victory that actually matters.
See, when you're always chasing more, you risk the things that are truly priceless. We're talking about your reputation, your freedom, your family, your happiness. There is no amount of money, no potential gain that is ever worth gambling with these things. Ever. Which leads us to the final, really big question. If it's not about buying bigger houses or faster cars, then what's the ultimate purpose of building wealth? What's the real dividend that money pays? It is this simple. The greatest value of money is its ability to give you control over your own time. The freedom to wake up and say, I can do what I want, when I want, with who I want. That's it.
And hey, this isn't just some feel-good idea. It's actually backed by research. A psychologist named Angus Campbell found that having a strong sense of control over your own life is the single most reliable predictor of happiness. It's more important than your salary, your job title, or where you live. Autonomy, that's the highest form of wealth.
So the ultimate question you have to ask yourself is this. Do you own your money or does it own you? And the answer has nothing to do with the size of your bank account. It has everything to do with how much control you have over your own time. It's a simple shift in how you see things, but I promise you it can change absolutely everything.